What's going on, everybody? Today on Umbrella Academy Explained, we're going to take a look at the different powers and abilities of the different characters in the Umbrella Academy. As you might recall, 43 children were born at noon on October 1st, 1989, and all of them had different powers and abilities that manifest themselves as they got older. Of these 43 children, we know about 8 abilities. And we've gotten kind of a hint or kind of an allusion to potential new powers that might come from other characters that we haven't really seen yet. So just be warned, there will be spoilers in this video covering all of season 1 and season 2 of Umbrella Academy. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a great show. You will not be disappointed. My favorite show that I've ever seen is this one. So check it out when you get a chance and come back and watch this video, and we'll talk about some of the powers. But let's go ahead and get started. So we've got 7 characters that were a part of the Umbrella Academy. Of course, we have Luther, who has the ability of super strength. We've seen that on multiple occasions. He was injected with a serum to save his life later on in the series, which I don't know if that really gave him any additional powers. It seems like maybe it did. He seems like he's almost indestructible. He actually got hit with a missile at the beginning of season 2 and just took it like a champ. So I don't know if that enhances abilities or if that is just something that he somehow was able to develop as time went on. You do see him getting a beating from a lumberjack looking dude in season 2 as well. So he can feel pain. So I kind of wonder what exactly the missile thing was. Maybe a result of the serum, maybe a result of his power. Time will tell. We should probably get more clarification on that, I think, in the future. But he does have super strength. He is able to throw people across the room. Even as a young boy, he was able to throw those guys out of that bank at the beginning of the series. But yeah, that's Luther's power. Diego, number 2, seemingly has the ability to control metal. At the beginning of the series, we see him throwing knives. That's his primary way of manipulating this power. You see him throwing knives, and the knives curve and move all over the place. Later in the series, it seems like he's developed them a little bit more, and he's able to control bullets, a mass amount of bullets from hitting and stop them from hitting his brother Five. One of the things that's most fascinating about this is that at the beginning of season 2, he was running through a insane asylum with Lila, and they were running in a straight line and getting fired at. They were getting shot at during this time, and I remember thinking to myself, "Oh my God, there's no reason that that these guys should be missing their shots. They're running in a straight line. The guns they have are seemingly pretty accurate, and even if they're not, 1 or 2 of those bullets should hit them." After seeing I think the last episode of season 2. It's very apparent that it was most likely Diego who was controlling these bullets and stopping them from hitting himself and Lila. Lila also may have had something to do with that as well, but we don't find that out until later, and we'll talk about her in a second. Number 3, Allison. She has the ability to hypnotize people and make them do whatever she wants. Kind of a pretty cool ability, if you ask me. And we see the extent of that at the beginning of season 2 when she basically makes the heads of these soldiers melt by just telling them that she blew their mind. Crazy scene, awesome scene. And that was the first introduction we had of her in season 2. My first run through of the series was like, whoa, she's so badass. She's so cool. And I thought that was just really a really cool thing. So maybe that was something that she developed, or maybe something that she always had access to and never used. But the types of things that Allison can do with her power it doesn't seem like there's any kind of a limit. And I'm kind of curious what we're going to see from her in season 3 and beyond, but very cool. Also, it does seem like Allison has this uncanny ability to find people wherever they are. I know this is probably not a canon ability of her character, but it does seem like whenever she's trying to find Vanya, she just finds her. In season 1, there's a moment where I guess they're having a family meeting, and she needs to find Vanya. And Vanya had just spoken with Leonard, and they're walking down a street. And it seems as though Allison just happens to bump into Vanya, but she was looking for her too. So it was very strange that they just kind of come across each other in this aspect. And oh, it just so happens we're having a family meeting and I need you to show up. So it was very, very weird. It seems like that's just an extra ability of Allison, but of course it's probably just my own headcanon or whatever you want to call it. Number 4, Klaus has the ability to commune with the dead. He can conjure spirits and conjure people who have passed on and communicate with them and even use them to help him in the real world. Something that he didn't realize he could do until partway through season 1 and then season 2. We find out he can do a lot more with these spirits than he thought he could. They even save him at one point from a deadly fall in the last scene of season 2. So we know that these spirits can do a lot more than what we've seen in the first few episodes. It seems like they just kind of are a nuisance to him in the first few episodes, but he develops his power over time, and like, he's one of the only ones that we actually see develop his powers. It's safe to say they probably do develop their powers behind the scenes. We just don't get to see it necessarily. So Klaus is one of the only ones that we actually see the development of those powers. Number 5, ironically enough, I don't think was ever given a name by Grace. I believe that he left the group probably before she gave the others their names. As it is said early on in the series that that's where the names come from, was Grace. Number 5 has an interesting ability to travel through space. It's discovered that he also can use that ability to travel not only through space, but also through time, which is a very interesting ability. He demonstrates this ability for the very first time after running out of the Umbrella Academy and traveling through time and getting himself stuck in 2019, shortly after the apocalypse happens, and spends the next 50 years in this post-apocalyptic future until he takes on a job with the Handler and the Commission. Another one of the children that also shows development of his power. After speaking with his father in the 60s, he's able to control the power a little bit more precisely, and instead of jumping back or forward multiple years, he's able to jump back just a few minutes at a time. I don't think that's going to be something that we see very often in the show, because I feel like it's a very easy way out of any situation you get yourself into from a writer's standpoint. But they do pull a lot from the comics, so it's not going to be something we have to worry about. I do think that he's not going to use that specific ability very often, though. Number 6, Ben. Ben has a crazy ability to manifest octopus or squid tentacles from his body and use them to basically destroy anybody he comes into contact with. It's very interesting power, probably the wildest power out of all of them, the craziest power out of all of them. But it has come in handy, not only when they were kids, but also when Klaus is able to conjure Ben and utilize this power against their enemies at the end of season 1. Ben, unfortunately, that does mean that Ben did die at some point, which is very sad. But we do see him again at the end of season 2 with a completely different look and potentially a different character arc for him as well. But more on that in a different video. Vanya. Vanya actually has probably the strongest ability out of everybody else. She can harness energy out of sound and kind of almost do whatever she wants to do. She has the ability to utilize this energy in various ways, whether to restrain somebody or to push them away. She can also shoot a very, very dangerous laser beam in any direction she wants. And in one case, this laser beam destroyed the moon and caused the apocalypse. And it seems she can maybe pass her ability on to other people, maybe accidentally or maybe potentially on purpose. This was seen through the revival of Harlan through CPR, and she was able to get the powers back from Harlan, maybe all of them, maybe some of them. Maybe there's still some power lingering around in Harlan, but as far as we know right now, she was able to get it back from him as well, so she can transfer some of her power to someone else. Very interesting idea, which we may see more of in season 3, but her power, I think, is yet to be fully explored, and I think she's definitely one of the strongest characters that's out there. She actually may have been one of the only ones that could have stopped her family from being killed if she'd put up a protective force field from the nuclear weapon or from the impact of the moon. Sora took a different direction, but she may have been able to stop it in some way. All of our heroes seem to have an ability to heal. It seems like their healing is a little bit accelerated in many cases. We see Diego get shanked by his father in Season 2, and that wound seemed to heal pretty quickly. Diego seemed to have sprained his arm or twisted his arm in some way, and he was only in a sling for a couple of days. At the beginning of Season 1, Luther took a nasty cut on his arm from Diego, and that seemed to heal up pretty quickly. And Allison was the only one that really took some time to heal, but considering the fact that her neck was sliced, I would imagine that was something that would probably take some time to heal, regardless of who you were. It seemed like it may have taken less time, but it still took some. It seemed like it was faster than usual, is what I'll say. And also, number 5 took a bullet in Season 1 from the handler, and we don't really get to see much of the recovery process for that. We just see that he did have a gunshot wound, and the next thing we know, he's fine. So I will say that it does seem like our heroes do have some kind of a healing ability, but it's not really elaborated on, and it might just be something that is kind of glossed over from a storytelling perspective, so that some of the characters are not just laying in bed for an entire episode. Maybe that's the purpose of it. Maybe there is no healing ability, but it does seem like there's something else there. All right, moving on. So we do have another character called Lila, who we find out later on is one of the 43. She seems to have the ability to use the abilities of anybody that she's near. There might be some extra details about her character that we've yet to find out. Maybe it's not so much that she can use the abilities of anyone that's near her. Maybe it's more that she was taught all of those abilities, but that's a topic for a different video. But she has been shown to use Vanya's ability, Allison's ability, and Five's ability. So does that mean she can use all of them? It kind of remains to be seen, but we have seen her use at least 3 of them. And we haven't seen the last of Lila either, so I'm actually very excited to see more of this character. She's a very interesting character. I think getting to know her more would be a very great side plot to the next season. And then we have these 5 characters that we don't really know anything about. I do believe the next season is going to go into more detail about these 5 characters, and some of that information might be listed in the comic books. I have not read the comics yet, so my intention is to read those very soon. But I wanted to talk more about the TV show as the show may differ from the comics and get some information and some ideas out there before I read the comics. But there are 5 characters here that we really don't know anything about and what their powers are. There's also a crazy sphere looking thing on the left side of the screen. You can see it right here. I don't really know exactly what that is, but it seems like it might be something that this character uses to for her power or ability. I'm assuming that's a girl. I don't really know. I love the silhouettes here. I think it's really cool. I don't know if these are the same characters. I think that's a topic for a different video, but I don't know if these 5 characters are the same characters that we've known from the original, from the Umbrella Academy, or if they're different characters completely. But I could see how maybe this one kind of looks like Allison and this one kind of looks like Luther. But I don't think we're going to get like evil versions of the same characters. I think it's going to be totally new characters as they progress through the series. But very excited to see what these characters can do and how their powers manifest. And of course, we'll have more information on that as soon as Season 3 comes out. But we also get another glimpse at Ben, who potentially could have a different power than what he had in the original Umbrella Academy before he passed away. This is a different timeline completely, so Ben has not passed away or not died. So I also think the Hargreaves that we saw in this scene is a different Hargreaves who may have taught different powers. But that's also a topic for another video. But I wanted to talk about the powers that we know about from the Umbrella Academy and some of the weird things that we've also seen in the show. But anyway, I'm a huge fan of Umbrella Academy. I'm going to do some more videos on it. and some other comic book related stuff too. So hit like, subscribe, and I will be back with more content soon. Thanks, everyone.